We're joined today by the one and only Don Barnes, singer, guitarist, founder for the band 38 Special. 38 Special is coming to Mankato. They'll be playing on the campus of MSU on September 16th. Don, how you doing today?
Hey, Dustin. Good. I'm punctual here, right on the dot. How about that? Most rock and rollers are not that punctual, you know.
Well, I know you're a busy guy, so I appreciate your time today.
There's no problem, man. How's everybody up there? Hot still?
Yep, still hot, but winter's always around the corner here in Minnesota. So,
yeah, I was just in Chicago. I was recording a song with Jim Peter from the band Survivor. We wrote a new song for his World Stage album, and it was, oh man, we got out of the restaurant that night. It was like an oven, 95. The next morning, it was like fall weather, you know, upper 60s. Amazing.
Well, first of all, 38 Special, getting back on the road, and I know you've been on the road most of your life, so I'm sure you're ready to get back on the stage again.
Yeah, we do about 100 cities a year. Can you believe that? Well, I think we've done about 70 so far. We've got a few more to go, but you know, it's a great job to bring that kind of joy to people. You know, I can't complain. And
you're coming here to Mankato September 16th, and you guys are going to be playing outdoors on the campus here at MSU. And as a performer, do you feel, I guess, kind of a different energy maybe for the outdoor shows?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, different energy. Everybody's having a great time. It's, first of all, you know, it's the history. We unfold all the songs. So we had a lot of, like 15, 16 top 40 songs. So it's a big celebration of all that. And you know, people come out and they high five each other. They're singing along. It's a great, like I said, a great job to bring that kind of joy to people. But you know, when we have that many gathering together, the energy level really builds up, and you get that. We get the instant reactions. You know, we see sometimes tears in their eyes and songs that remind them of, you know, the past and that kind of thing. So, you know, it's a big celebration. We're all great friends. We still get along. Can you believe that? Still like each other, you know, after all these years. But, you know, it's a celebration of that brotherhood, and people can feel that. You know, we bring them all into the event. And so, like I said, we've done we take them through movie songs. We've did a lot of songs in movies. A&M Records had a subsidiary, A&M Films, so we did a lot of songs with Back to Paradise from Revenge of the Nerds movie, you know, Teacher from movie Teachers. So, you know, we want to make sure everybody hears their favorite song, whether it's you know, more bang for the buck, you know, I guess that's what it comes down to. But it's about an hour and 40 minutes of everything you want to hear through the history of the band. Hold On, Let's Be Caught Up in You, Rockin' Into the Night, all the ones back. People say, yeah, that was you guys did Rockin' Into the Night in 1979? Yeah, that was us. we were desperate to get on the radio, you know, but anyway, so after, you know, we've got some new surprises too, not just the older songs. We got new material, big production, chain lightning, got the big lightning and the thunder and all the effects and all the smoke and everything. So it's a great time. Everybody come out. We'll have a large time there.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a great show again here in Mankato, September 16th. And you guys are pretty much crisscrossing around the U.S. for the rest of the year, it looks like. And, you know, as you mentioned, after 45 years or so on the road, it's got to be great for you to look out in the crowd and, you know, see all the different generations of people your music has touched over the years. So a lot of people over the years, I'm sure, will be at the show.
Sure. Yeah, because, you know, our original fans, they grew up with the music and they played the records in the house, and the kids grew up with it. So, yeah, you a different mixture of age groups. I'll see a group of boys out there that got a little local band, you know, and they're high-fiving, Hold On Loosely. I'm like, dude, you weren't even born when this song happened. But, you know, it's a great, you know, event, a celebration of a big party. You know, we've always been known to bring that party to the people. So, you know, the different age groups really help out. And, after all 45 years of it, you know, we were those young boys with a dream. See, that's the thing. If we could see ourselves in those young guys, and you know, we were of course, failed. We made all our mistakes in public, just like everybody does. You know, you start out, and people think that Hold On Loosely was and Wild Eyed Southern Boys was our first album. It was actually our fourth album. We had done 3 albums before that just straight over the cliff. You know, you're thinking you're going to bust the world wide open, you know, but you got the competition. You don't realize how heavy the competition. Which brings me to another point, and it's not something I highly recommend. You know, these young guys with a band, I say, if they want to get a record deal or something, I say, if you absolutely have to do it, but you're going to sacrifice everything. You're going to, anniversaries and holidays, you got to be rehearsing. You got to be 5 steps ahead of yourself. You have to have your songs written when it's time, the contractual obligations and all that. So it's not just for, you know, all party, you know, that part of it is the work part of it, you know. I tell them, if you absolutely have to do it, but if there's any more stability to fall back on, if you're good with your hands or you stay in school or whatever, but especially these days, Juston, I mean, everything is, you know, radio's fractured. The record companies, brick and mortar buildings are almost non-existent. They're recording in their bedroom and they're putting it online and everything. Sure. So, yeah, so we've got, you know, people streaming our songs and downloading. We're not, at this point, you know, it's 2023. You might as well just be giving your music away, because the payoff is that if somebody downloads your song, then that makes them a fan, and they'll tell their friends. And then you come to town, and they're going to come and buy a ticket and a T-shirt, and, you know, you have a great time. And so it really is a means to get that live show action going. These days, it's all in the live business. You'll see everybody out there touring, because record royalties and all that, with streaming, it's kind of taken all the royalty part of it away. So it's all about going out there and creating an event and building something that people want to see again and again, and they'll tell their friends, you know, and you missed it or whatever. But so we try to make it a big event, so people, memorable time and joyous. I can't tell you how happy we're all about the positive stuff, you know, bringing the great choruses, singing along, and even as they're walking out, I got the sound guy playing, you know, tequila, dun, 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 you know, everything's real happy, and everybody walks out of there with a good smile on their face, you know.
Awesome, yeah, and as you mentioned, back when you guys were first starting, you really had more of an option, I guess, to fail for a while. I know you guys had kind of the Southern rock feel on the first couple albums. Yeah. You know, no doubt in part to, you know, Donnie Van Zant and Leonard Skinner at the time.
Sure.
Was that a conscious decision, I guess, to move away from that, or did that just maybe kind of organically?
We could tell in the 70s that Southern rock was waning, and, you know, we had just come on the scene, and actually, we've got, you know, Ronnie Van Zant was a mentor for the band. He was about 5 years older than us. So he would say, stop trying to be a clone of whatever that came before you, because that's already been done. And we realized it had been done by the best, Allman Brothers and Skinner and, you know, Marshall Tucker and those kind of guys. And so he said, find what makes your heart sing. What were your influences? What did you like? So we really were introspective, and we realized we liked the British invasion stuff. We call it melody and muscle. You know, you got some good, strong guitars in the face, and a memorable story, good melody over the top, and it's simple. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it, like they say. You know, so we crafted a more arena rock sound for the 80s as we got into the 80s, because we realized the Southern rock thing was kind of waning, and people were moving on to more of the, well, you remember Boston and all the Foreigner and all those were all arena rock groups. So we loved all that stuff, and we put all our influence. We were big Beatles fans, all the good songwriting and great choruses, memorable choruses you could sing along and have a lot of positive element to them, you know. Like I said, the Southern rock was a lot of blues based, talking about the bad women and whiskey and that kind of thing, and that just wasn't us. We were more. Let me just back up. Jacksonville, Florida, was a Navy city. There were 5 naval bases there. So all of us as young boys, we all played in sailors clubs. And I'm talking about Dwayne Allman, Greg Allman, Ronnie Van Zant. Everybody played and these enlistment clubs as young teenagers. You make about $100 a week, playing the cover songs, and it's pretty big money for a 16-year-old kid, So we were bouncing around to the naval bases and playing sailors clubs, and we'd be up there playing, and we'd watching them drink and fight, the sailors. But what happened is, as you're 14, 15 years old, you start learning the structures of songwriting. All these great songs that would come out, and we would learn them in rehearsal, and you start seeing where the payoff is. You see it's kind of a graph, a song. It's kind of built. It starts with a big opening, and it keeps climbing, and somewhere around the middle, it might be a little relief to the listener, but the chorus is just a big crescendo, big cherry on top. And so you start learning how that works, and you start trying to craft your own songs. And when you get a little cocky after a while, you start thinking, well, I can write my own songs now. And that's when you go starve for the next 10 years. So not something I recommend. But we did learn, all those guys, we all learned the elements of songwriting from a really young age. So it's a good foundation.
And you obviously made the right choice. As you mentioned before, a lot of the listeners, sometimes you forget how many hit songs you guys actually had until you see them all on paper.
Yeah, they say, the radio only plays Hold On Loosely and Caught Up in You, but we had a lot of songs go through the years. And actually, when we play them, we line them up. We take the audience for a ride. We know how, we're not the kind of band that goes out there and plays one song and you're staring at your shoes and you say, thank you very much. Our next song is this, we link these songs together and it's just hit after hit. And people go, I can't believe that all those hit songs through your years. And there was an old term back then, you're only as good as your last hit. So we were always trying to outdo ourselves. Every new album, we were trying to lift our career, be higher, be bigger, than the last one. And that's the name of the game. You're trying to compete with everybody out there. That, radio only has 24 hours in a day, and a lot of that is, commercial time, and so everybody's vying for their space, their slot, their 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever on the radio. And so we tried and failed. We picked ourselves up, dusted ourselves off, and thought, well, I know we still have it in us. We just have to find the right element. So I was up in Chicago. We had written with Jim Peterick, again, the guy I was just at his house just recently. Been friends for 43 years now, but first time we ever met him, sat there at his breakfast table, breakfast bar, and he was talking about, so, how you guys been doing and everything. I mean, well, you got any ideas? And I have been going through a troubled time in a relationship. And I said, what is it about? I had little notebooks there. Songwriters have to have the antenna out. You're always picking out little bits of titles or lines in a song or something. And I said, what is it about people that just can't seem to tolerate their differences? They try to change the other person, or they try to keep them under their thumb, or, and that's what's happening with me. I was trying to be somebody, and she was a little, kind of keeping me in my place. And I said, what do you think about this title, Hold On Loosely? And he said, oh, yeah, but don't let go. And that's the first thing that came out of his mouth. So it was the perfect bookend, a perfect couplet there. And we wrote it about 2 hours. It was done. And all these years later, that song has become one of the anthemic songs. We save it to the end, and it's a great piece of advice. People come up and say, man, you don't know what that song meant. It meant to our marriage and all that. But, we never were trying to do that, but we were just trying to get on the radio. Because it's tough to get to even crack the door at radio. So, those kind of songs, every one of the songs we had truth in them. We felt, Ronnie Van Zant, again, another piece of advice was to put your own life in there. Don't anybody can sing, ooh, baby, I love you, ooh, baby, I need you. That's the kind of the cliche thing. And you try to put your own story in there. So we set about putting the truth in the songs, and I think that people relate. Well, truth can't be denied. When it's true to someone else's, they relate to it. They say, I felt that same feeling. I know it. So I was dating a woman at the time, and we had been on the road for 9 months promoting in the last album or something. We were, again, back to the contractual obligation thing. you got 6 months to have another album out, and it's like book publishing. You got to get to writing. You got to have your ideas, and we didn't have a single idea of one note, and it was due in 6 months. And so I was dating this woman I just met, and I said, I just can't seem to get any work done. I'm just so caught up in you all the time. And it was just like a light bulb went on. I thought, that's a pretty good song title. It's a positive. It's got that, thing. So we set about putting it together. Good story. Came from truthful experiences. And all those songs were. If I'd been the one, what if I'd been the one to say goodbye? There was a long distance romance, a woman in Texas I'd been seeing off and on, but I was traveling, and you don't want to get mixed up with a traveling musician, but she had, I was head over heels over her, and she called and wanted my blessing that she was going to get married. And I said, wow, that's shocking. Put yourself in my place. What if I'd been the one to tell you that? So that became a song. So all these songs came from real life experiences, and I think people relate to those things.
Definitely. And again, all those songs will be coming to Mankato, a 38 special, playing September 16th on the campus of MSU. And Don, I know you guys also just released 38 special live at Rock Blast 1981. I mean, that's the CD and the DVD of that Germany show. That's great you guys were able to track that down.
That was something. It was amazing. It's great to look back at us, our young selves, and all the fire and the drive. We still have that same kind of fire and drive. And it was in Germany, in Lorelei, Germany. And they had the TV stations, and we had drove all the way to the top of this mountain. We had gone down the Rhine River, beautiful countryside. Just it looks out of like a storybook, Germany. There's a lot of great, beautiful areas in Germany. But we got up there, and the TV stations there, they filmed the show, and they interviewed us, and it was hard to understand their accent, their dialect. But we got out there, and the place was packed, and we just tore it down. We were victorious for that day. There were several groups on that show, and they filmed it, and they had it in the can all these years, and they contacted us and said, we'd like to get this out there. They had Thin Lizzy put it out. They had several other artists. And I said, sure, because, Donnie Vance I told him about it, and he said, well, is it any good? And I said, man, it's killer. It's great. So they made a DVD. It shows a lot of crowd, a lot of different pictures and backstage and all. And we got out there and, we sweated out and did it. But I got to tell you, a different part of Germany we played. We played facing in Nuremberg, Germany, facing the podium up there where Hitler had declared war on the world. They had rock fans hanging off all those walls up there. It's funny how, the era of the world changes over the years, and that many years later, the big Eagle was kind of half bombed out. The Americans had bombed it out, but it was a big concert venue now. So we're playing, and you could go to the library and open a book, and there it is. There's the big symbol. There's, the whole devastating part with Hitler and all that. But now, 30 years later, it was rock fans hanging off in blue jeans. So pretty surrealistic there.
Well, Don, I know it's been almost 20 years, I think, since the Drivetrain album was released. Could we see some new music from 38 Special maybe down the road?
Yeah, we actually have been doing some recording. We've probably about 65-70% some things done. It takes a lot to get off the road and be in a studio, so we have a lot of bookings all year. So we try to find time off the road and go get that part of the aspect of it. But it is a lot of effort away from the road. But again, like I said, I just finished a song with Jim Peter, and it really came out great. It's called Last Dream Home, and it's going to be on his World Stage album. But I told him, I said, you got me putting my foot back in the water here. I really like the recording aspect again. I've been out there playing live, but so we both put our heads together, and he's been egging me on to get back in the studio. Let's put something together. And we've always been a great songwriting team, had great chemistry. That's the thing. You got to find somebody that's just, a good sounding board. well, offers ideas, and Jim's always been great for us. And he wrote "Eye of the Tiger," #1 in the world.
Sure.
Yeah, that's his song. So he's no slouch.
Awesome. Again, Don, it's been an honor speaking with you. I'm looking forward to the show here in Mankato, and thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Dustin. Come back and say hello. I look forward to it.
All right, will do. Thanks a lot, Don.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
And again, that was Don Barnes from 38 Special. And 38 Special is coming to Mankato, performing on the campus of MSU. That show is on September 16th.